Hello, this is Yaakov Kronenberg from Jerusalem, and tonight another class in a series of classes on Pisces ascendant and Jupiter in the different signs. Tonight we'll be doing Jupiter in Libra. Again, this is another difficult combination because, again, there's no connection between Pisces and Libra. They're 8 signs apart. Pisces dies in Libra. Right, 8 is the number of death, and so whatever sign is on the 8th sign from the ascendant, that's the most difficult place for the ascendant to have to deal with, because Pisces is a very introverted type of person. It's a very its nature is to be introverted, working on the trying to deal with themselves, to fix themselves, to overcome their suffering, so their avodah is for most part their work is work on the internal self, and the Libra is the opposite. The Libra is the most social sign in the zodiac. The Libra is the person that wants to be, part of the society. It hates to be alone. The worst experience for a Libra is to be alone. They hate it, right? The Libra, moon in Libra, just all they want to do is get married, right? That's the Ika desire. Libra wants partnership, it wants connection, it sees the world as a social place. It's a place where everybody is coming together, everybody for each other's benefit, and the Pisces doesn't look at things that way. So when the Pisces has to go out and be part of society, it can be a very difficult experience for it. So again, you're going to have a person with this combination will be difficult. But again, the 8th house, so in other words, you have the ruling planet in the 8th house. In a situation like this, and so it can be a difficult combination. And so what I wanted to say is, but when you have the ruling planet in the 8th house, there's going to be a desire, of course, to marry somebody very wealthy. Right? It's a money combination, right? When you have the ruler in the 8th. So there's going to be a desire for, to marry somebody wealthy, because the 8th house is the second house of the partner, the money house of the partner. And we've talked about that a lot. And so there's going to be a desire to make money in the chart. Also, the 8th house is the house of sexual relations, and so there's going to be also people who have the 8th house ruler in the 8th. There's going to be a movement towards that area of life. Also, is that right? The sex and the money, they go together, and so when you have Jupiter in the 8th, there's going to be it's good for making money, it's good for sexual relationships for the most part, unless there's bad aspects, and we'll talk about that tonight. And but in any case, it makes a connection between 1 and the 8th house. So all the 8th house subjects are going to be very strong. I want to do tonight a famous person. I don't know much about her. I just read a little about her on the internet. I found her horoscope. She lived in the 1800s. Her name was George Sand. She was from France. She was a very famous author of her time period. She was known actually for more than for her writing. She was known for her wild, provocative type of social life that she had. She was very for her period of time. She was very, very provocative. She wore pants, which the rich and the successful didn't do, women didn't do, and she was had all sorts of affairs that she didn't that she didn't hide from the public, and she was also bisexual. She had lesbian affairs also, and she was like just very provocative, for her time period. She was very, very considered wild, so to speak. And if you look at her chart, right away you see that she had Jupiter there in the 8th house. So the 8th house, again, in the sign of Libra. So there's going to be, always when you have the ruling planet in Libra, there's going to be a desire for social relationships, right? And in her chart she had Jupiter connected with Uranus. They're basically conjunct in her chart. And so that's already going to, she's going to want freedom. A person who has ruling planet conjunct Uranus, they're going to want freedom in their life to do what they want. They're not going to take orders from other people. They're going to want to do what they want to do when they want to do it and not listen to anybody else. And that's Jupiter in Uranus. And if you look at the Jupiter closely, you see Jupiter is unusual. So she has Jupiter exactly opposite the moon, right? So when you ever have Jupiter opposite the lights, it's too. Sometimes it can be too much. So the problem with a bad Jupiter is that it's too much. You get too much of a good thing, right? Jupiter can join to the sun in a tight aspect, a difficult aspect of the sun. It's going to make a person too much. He's going to be too much, want power. Too much, he's going to think, he or she, they'll think just too much of themselves, and they'll have excessive honor they'll want, and things like that. And when you have it like she had opposite the moon, it means she has no balance in her emotion. She does everything too much emotionally. She has to show off her emotions, and wild emotions are very expansive. And too much, and in her chart they're both the moon and they're exactly opposite in the chart. Again, the idea of motivation. So she was very, very motivated with her ruling planet exactly opposite the moon. So she wanted to experience what she could experience emotionally in her life, right? And she also had the moon opposite Uranus. And so she wanted to be provocative and out in the open, do things, to be sensational. And so you see that in her chart, especially by the Jupiter exactly opposite the moon. And they're both are square to Venus, right? Venus in Leo. And so she had this very, very wild romantic life besides being a writer. And another thing that we should take a look at that also is part of that consensium is that her Neptune, the co-ruler, is in Scorpio. Now I don't know if I've taught this before, but wherever Neptune is, that house and that sign become exaggerated. It becomes much more important than what it should be. So when you have Neptune in Scorpio, there's especially in her chart will be in the 9th house. It's also in the 8th house. The end of the 8th house, there's going to be an abnormal desire for sexuality, being the Neptune in the sign of Scorpio, which rules sexuality, right? And so she had that very, very powerful in her chart. Also, as the highest planet, and it's in a tight square. Also, well, it's in a tight trine to the ascendant. So that was also a push in her chart. And so I hope everybody enjoyed the class, and thanks for listening.